Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Richard Metal Fan Interviews. This is episode number 14, and today we're going to be talking to Titan Fox, who is the frontman for German power metal band Hammer King. I get to sit down and talk to him today about their new self-titled album, which is released now through Napalm Records. And we're going to talk about who the character the Hammer King really is, and sort of like the songwriting process for them and power metal lyrics, everything. So without further ado, let's go talk to Titan Fox. So what's up, guys? I am here with Titan Fox of the almighty Hammer King. Titan Fox, how are you doing today?
Perfect and fine. It's very nice to be with you. Thanks a lot for having us.
Awesome. Glad to have you here. So you have your new self-titled album, which is out now through Napalm Records. Can you sort of like talk about the whole writing and recording process of the album and how it was different compared to like previous albums?
Ever since we started the band in 2015, we try to have as many catchy songs on an album as possible, actually, because we think that we are perfect for being a live band. Therefore, we try to have as many catchy songs as possible. I think with the new album, Hammer King, this worked out as perfectly as only on the debut album back in 2015. So the goal was to have very, very straight songs, and I think we really succeeded on that album. So it wasn't that much different than on the other albums. I just think we hit the spot a little bit better than before.
Awesome. So I'm always curious about the meaning of the Hammer King. Is it almost kind of like a metaphor or like a character that you are portraying, or is it part of like a story as it is almost kind of like the music itself?
That's a good question. It's only the second time that I hear this, actually. The interesting thing is that the Hammer King is a person in his own kingdom, in his own universe, a fierceless ruler, very brutal, and on the same time very good to his people if you sell your soul to the king. On the other hand, it's actually a metaphor to anything that you're looking for. If you're into Jesus Christ, it could be God or Jesus Christ. If you're into Satan, it could be pretty well Satan. If you're spiritual, it could be whatever you're looking for. So actually, the king can be yourself or your inner strength. That's what somebody told me back in an interview. It can be your inner power in a way.
Huh, that's a great metaphor. So it can also could serve as like a protagonist or an antagonist in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And also want to go into songwriting. Writing, do you also need to hear music in order to come up with lyrics, or do you ever have like a concept in mind and that could also determine the outcome of the music itself?
I mean, there is a concept for sure. It's when we started this band, it was the first time in our lives as musicians that we did not just look for songs, but we kind of knew what direction we would go. I mean, it's power metal or heavy metal, classic metal, whatever you call it. So it was not the desire to reinvent the wheel, but just to come up with very good songs in an existing style. But as far as songwriting and writing of lyrics is concerned, actually, I'm wearing a Brian Wilson t-shirt today, which is funny because I always quote him. Brian
Cool.
Wilson once said that he does not write the songs, he receives the songs because the songs are out there. And in a way, as spiritual as it might sound, I think it's practically the way it is. You have the feeling, you might have an idea, so you take the guitar and start playing. You don't have the idea before you start playing, at least not in my case. And the same is when we're writing lyrics. Most of the time we have the music before, so we're playing the song in a basic form, and at a certain point I will start singing. And I will sing certain phrases, and at least 2/3 of them might make it into the final version of the song because they just fit to the music. It's interesting, it just happens.
Right. So do you tend to leave lyrics open to interpretation, or do you try to engage the listener into what the songs are about?
Uh, I think it's basically it's both. With a new one, with a new album, we have a song called "Awaken the Thunder," which is the opening track, and this is the first time that we purposely used lyrics to have a story which can happen within the kingdom of the Hammer King, the universe of the Hammer King, but also without outside of the real world. So this is something that we want to do in the future. We want to write songs that have a double meaning, so that you can understand it as a maybe social critique or some strength giving advice for people, but also regular stories within the kingdom.
All right. So every Hammer King album that I've heard it kind of like tells a story. So it's like for what I would would not consider, I wouldn't consider any Hammer King albums to be kind of shuffle friendly. Like you would, like with the new album, you would start with Awaken the Thunder and end with King of Kings. Is that like how you should listen to the album from beginning to end?
No, that's a very good question for every musician. I mean, in these days where people practically, I mean, some buy the album, but most people might buy single songs or stream random songs. I did it. I even do it, and I think we do what we want to do. That means that we do an album, we produce an album that should be played start to finish, because there is a very certain movement from the first song to the last one. And I think that's the same with a concert. You can go and see your favorite band and they play all your favorite songs. If you're lucky, they play them in the perfect order and you get a fantastic show. If you're not that lucky, they will shuffle the songs in a random way and the show might be mediocre. So for us, it's very important that you listen to the songs in the purposed order, because I always say the second song comes from the first. So the first has a certain, oh, damn, I'm losing my English today. The first song affects the second, and the second depends on the first, and so on. So that is basically what I strongly believe in. Of course, feel free to play the album in whatever order you want, but basically, I think that the order is absolutely important.
Oh, fair enough. So also going to playing live, like when you play in sort of like a live setting, do you just like take songs from other albums and also change it in a way, sort of like the context of the feel, like how as it was when you recorded the songs on the CD?
Absolutely. I mean, I think in a way we're doing what Queen used to do in the late 70s. When you compare the set list from the News of the World tour, the Jazz tour, and the Game tour, you see that there is a sort of a basic set list, and they took some songs out and replaced them with newer songs, which had a similar feel. So you still had the same effect of a show, the same feeling of the show, but with newer songs. We usually do the same, but with the Hammer King show coming up now, for the first time, we shuffled many positions. We will have a new opening track. We always open with Kingdom of the Hammer King, the opening track from the first album. Now we will open with Awaken the Thunder and probably Baptized by the Hammer, hopefully, if it works. And so there is a lot of shuffling within the set list. And it was quite tricky to place all the songs on the right position. Example is when you look at Kingdom of the Hammer King, which was a fantastic opener, we had to find a new place, and it was absolutely tricky, because if you play Kingdom after Awaken the Thunder, it's not the same. It doesn't have the same impact as if it's the opening track. So now we basically opened the encore with Kingdom of the Hammer King. So that was quite some trial and error in a way, but I think the new set list is very good.
Awesome. So also I like to talk about like your videos. Your videos also kind of represent the story almost in a way itself. Can you also like express the music also in like a movie?
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's what we definitely wanted to do. But I must be honest, if we had the money to do that, because if you look at wonderful videos such as Powerwolf just released, for example,
Love those guys.
This budget, you can do a lot, and we don't have the budget yet. We have invested a lot of money in the production, in the costumes, in business things that we needed to get the band to the next level, actually. So at the moment, I proudly say we did the best video just with Awaken the Thunder, the best video we've ever done so far. But of course, there's such a lot of opportunity that we have not been able to use so far. That would be fantastic. I mean, with Awaken the Thunder, we used actors for the first time that took a role in the video, which for me is a big change, because I'm bored to death with the videos where you only see the band play, and that was the only thing that we could afford back in the day. So now we got something that's interesting to look, and it's interesting for us as well, because we did not know what would happen with the end result. We will go this way in the future, but of course we will need the money for it, of course.
Right. And if somebody were to discover you now, should they listen to the new album, or should they like go back and listen to like your first album and just listen in order? That's a brutal question for me, because I'm famous or infamous for listening to every band chronological, and everybody who knows me hates it because I can't change it. But if you want to get just one Hammer King album, then really get the new one,
And you can check that on the internet. In every interview that I gave so far, I never said that before because I was actually always convinced that the first one was the strongest. Now I must say that the new one is really better. So the new one is the best Hammer King album so far. And if you want to listen to a second one, then go to the first and then take the chronological order.
Awesome. All right, I got two more questions for you, if that's all right. All right,
Fine, absolutely.
right, ready for the hardest one?
Yeah.
How do you know when a song is done?
Well, sometimes it's the deadline that tells you the song is done because there is no more time.
Yeah, you
But
have to end sometime.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. But basically, well, that's a very good question. It's really the hardest one. I don't know. If you ask me how to write a song, I would probably also say, I really don't know. I just do it. You start with a song, you play it, and if you feel very happy, the song is finished. If you say, there's something missing, then you keep looking. So I must say, in our case, in Hammer King's case, it is basically me saying, okay, it's perfect, or me saying, no, it's not good enough. And if it's not good enough, we will try and change things. But I think after some years, and I can't remember how many songs I did in this band and other bands before, basically you just go by your feeling. You can't decide it with your head. If you feel it's right, then it's right. And if the people like it, they will like it. If they don't, they will never. So.
All right, fair enough. And the final question I want to ask is like what in your opinion is power metal? Because I love so many bands like Blind Guardian, the Hammerfall, Sonata Arctica, Camelot, and even one of my favorite bands I'm repping, Unleash the Archers from Canada. That like
Nice.
it's like there's always just the beginnings of the Iron Maiden being one of the influences, but I feel like there's other bands that are not even labeled as power metal, but they're like sort of like death metal, black metal, but they have sort of like the power in it, like musically. But in your opinion, what is power metal to you?
You know, I was raised on heavy metal back when there was no power metal. One of my early favorites was Halloween, which still is kind of one of my favorite bands. And nowadays everyone labels Halloween power metal. And they are powerful, of course. But then I must ask the question, what is heavy metal? I must say, for me, heavy metal is like the whole building, and power metal is one flat in the building, probably. So power metal is something that the people label us. I personally think we are playing heavy metal because I think that I don't really see the difference between Halloween and Saxon and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. It's all heavy metal to me. I'm absolutely vocal focused. So if you got a grunting singer, a harsh singer, this will make a difference. Then it's not heavy metal, then it's death metal or black metal or thrash metal, probably. The rest to me is just heavy metal. So power metal probably is this more up-to-date version of classic metal, probably where you have the even mightier drums and the probably slightly down-tuned guitars. We're down half a step. That's not that much actually, but that probably could be power metal. Usually it's linked with very majestic or very aggressive lyrics in a way, more than heavy metal. But all right. I really don't know.
Awesome. So before we go, I just wanted to thank you for this interview. It's just anything else with Hammer King you would like to promote? I mean, we got the new album out. It's just anything else you'd like to promote? I mean, obviously, thanks to a certain bullshit virus that I do not want to name on this channel, touring's not happening at the moment. But things are slowly starting to open up. But once everything is all open up, we'll see you out on the road a bit. Is there maybe a chance Hammer King will come and tour in the US eventually? I absolutely hope so. I mean, the good thing about Napalm Records, which has always been our dream partner, actually, so it's for us, it's fantastic at the moment. The good thing, alongside Napalm Records, you automatically sign with Napalm Events, which is a booking agency. So if this bullshit virus is getting out of the way, there will be more touring for us than ever before, hopefully. Although the market will be very, very packed in the first month, because everyone will be touring. You will have the 2020 and the 2021 tours at the same time. So if we get a place, we will definitely go wherever we can, because we absolutely want to play live. I mean, I think I have not played a show in 19 months, which is the longest period ever in my life, ever since I started. So we're looking forward. We definitely want to come to as many countries as possible. I used to play the United States with Ross the Boss when I was the vocalist of Ross the Boss. So I would like to be back. It's gigantic for us Europeans. It's such a gigantic country, so long distances. It's so interesting.
So we'd like to be there. If you have us, we will be everywhere. So basically, that's the game, the goal. And I thank you for the interview. I thank you for the time and for the help and the
Absolutely,
promotion
man.
that goes along with it. And if someone wants to support the band directly, you can always go to hammer-king.com. There is our store. You will practically get everything there. But if you get it at Napalm, it's fine as well, because of course we get something from that as well. So I really hope for all of us for a future which is free and open, and we will have a lot of concerts and music to go to.
Awesome. So everyone, Titan Fox of Hammer King, this is Richard Metal Fan. We'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.